The Nintendo Switch in 2020 has been very strange, of course impacted by real-world situations. We've had some games at the start of the year, mostly re-releases in games like Animal Crossing and Clubhouse games, a new Paper Mario game which was really good, but by the tail end of the year everything seemed to be a bit lacking. Super Mario 3D All-Stars was announced, of course, and is causing all sorts of controversy with some fans. We talked about it in yesterday's video, so make sure you guys go check that out. And we also have Pikmin 3 Deluxe, another Wii U release. And it appeared like it was potentially going to be it for Nintendo games in 2020. Until this morning, that is. Nintendo dropped a massive bomb of a game announcement by announcing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. We've got a trailer, we've got some details, and we have a release date. Boys and girls, Christmas is officially saved, and I am super stoked for this game, so let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about this new Hyrule Warriors game coming to the Nintendo Switch, what we know about it so far, and when this game will be releasing. Now, the original Hyrule Warriors, of course, came out on the Nintendo Wii U and then was re-released on the Nintendo Switch. And if you're unfamiliar with what that game is, basically it followed the Warriors formula and template pretty much to a T. Koei Tecmo basically just took the Legend of Zelda properties and made a Warrior-style game, which is a hack-and-slash, very action-driven game. Really not a whole lot of story things going on. Most of the other Warriors games are games like Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. Most of the other games in the Warrior series, like Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors, are more based on Asian-related culture things and just sort of feudal wars instead of actually using licensed IPs. Then, of course, we also got Fire Emblem Warriors, so it seemed like Nintendo and Koei Tecmo's relationship was very strong with Hyrule Warriors, and maybe we were going to see another one. Well, like I said, this morning we were introduced to Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, before this presentation started, we actually got Mr. Aonuma talking a bit about the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, saying that the game is still in development, the team is working hard on Breath of the Wild 2, and some more information should be coming soon. Now, sort of to me, that seems like maybe this isn't that spring release that so many people were hoping for with The Legend of Zelda. Of course, The Legend of Zelda, much like Mario is having his 35th anniversary this year, is celebrating their 35th anniversary next year, and a lot of people, myself included, are expecting Nintendo to do something similar to what they have done to celebrate Mario's 35th with the Legend of Zelda franchise. Now, one of the trains of thought was that the game was going to potentially release in the month of spring, that being the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, but now to me, just sort of based on this announcement, it seems more so like I would expect this game in the tail end of 2021, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I think you could do more stuff with the Zelda franchise between then and the release date of the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 with games like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So one of the interesting things about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is just the story of the game, because it seems very focused and pinpointed, whereas Hyrule Warriors was just sort of more so a celebration of previous Zelda games that have released in the franchise. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity actually is taking place 100 years before Breath of the Wild, and it fleshes out the backstory that is hinted at and alluded at between the Great Calamity and the Kingdom of Hyrule occurring in this big battle that happened 100 years before Breath of the Wild did. So I think that's really cool, sort of fleshing out that backstory and giving more meaning to that story, because one of the things about the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was that the story was sort of there, but you definitely had to seek it out more so than in previous Zelda games. You sort of had to do things like assumptions based on the information that you were given and just sort of breathe in the universe that Breath of the Wild created in order to sort of understand the story and dig deeper into it. I think this is a great way to flesh things out, make things more canon, and it seems like that is going to be the case with this game. A representative from Koei Tecmo also talked briefly about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and one of the most interesting things from that was the fact that they said that they are working a lot closer with Nintendo this time around to do things like characters and of course the story for this game. And like I said, with the original Hyrule Warriors game, it was pretty much just handing over the Zelda IP, handing over the Zelda characters, and then allowing Koei Tecmo to do something with that game and to sort of create their own sort of thing, whereas Nintendo seems to be a bit more hands-on with this game. Now, one of the most impressive things about this trailer has to be the graphics of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, because they definitely look like Breath of the Wild, but beefed up quite a bit. And that's actually pretty cool to sort of think about what Breath of the Wild 2 can look like, because the original Breath of the Wild was a great looking game, but this definitely looks a lot more detailed. All of the characters that you see definitely have a lot more detail. There's a lot cleaner images, a lot crisper images as well for these characters. These huge battles taking on various places within the Kingdom of Hyrule set in the Breath of the Wild universe. I think this game looks absolutely gorgeous from a graphical standpoint, and I can't wait to see more areas. It seems like all of the big attacks are going to be in the game as well. That was sort of in the previous Hyrule Warriors. You'll be able to build up a meter and then do a big special attack. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays into the Breath of the Wild universe, because it seems like they are pretty much sticking with Breath of the Wild related characters. Everyone that we saw in this game was a Breath of the Wild related character. Now, of course, you can also incorporate new characters who did not make it to Breath of the Wild, because this game takes place 100 years before it. Do these people not age or anything like that? Are they like Methuselah, where they can live 900 years and like that's a normal thing? I don't know. That's sort of a question we need to ask with this, but I think the graphical style of the game looks absolutely gorgeous. Now, going on to Nintendo's website, we also did learn that there will be multiplayer in this game. It seems like there's going to be online multiplayer where you can play with some friends, so that's also another great addition to this game, because I think that'll be really fun to play through this game. It's definitely a very pick up and play sort of experience where I think anyone can enjoy a warrior style game, but there's a lot more depth and mechanics to it should you choose to learn those depths and mechanics. But really the biggest deal about Hyrule Warriors But really, the most exciting thing about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is you don't have to wait very long to play it, because Nintendo has announced that this game will be releasing on November 20th of this year. So this is going to be evidently one of, if not the big holiday games for Nintendo. And you know what? I'm absolutely cool with that. This is a game that looks absolutely fantastic. I love the original Hyrule Warriors on the Nintendo Wii U. I almost want to repurchase it on the Nintendo Switch to play the definitive edition of that game, because it also included all of the DLC, and I just really love that game. It was such a time sink for me, but it was such a fun game. It also released on the 3DS as well, so it's a game that Nintendo obviously was very proud of, and they loved what Koei Tecmo did with this. And to see a new Legend of Zelda game coming out in 2020 on November 20th is definitely a very exciting thing. I think if you've never played a Warriors game, it's definitely worth checking out Hyrule Warriors, whether you play it on the Wii, the new 3DS, played on the new 3DS, the standard 3DS version of the game wasn't very good, or on the Nintendo Switch with the previous release of Hyrule Warriors. It's a really fun game. It's a really fun game, and using the Legend of Zelda franchise is just very, very smart for this. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Now this year is definitely looking a bit more positive for Nintendo. You have things like, of course, Pikmin 3 Deluxe. If you didn't play Pikmin 3, now you can play Pikmin 3 on your Nintendo Switch. We, of course, have the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection with, yes, there are some little issues with it here and there. They could have done a better job. They could have put in more content, but at the end of the day, you're still getting 3 quality Mario titles, 2 excellent Mario titles, and 1 Mario title game I'm going to try to learn to love with Super Mario Sunshine. And now we have Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Super stoked for this game. I cannot wait to see more for this game, get more details on it, but I just wanted to make this video because, well, there was a reason I woke up early this morning, because I had a little bit of a feeling that something Zelda related was going to be announced, but I definitely didn't expect this. I thought it was going to be a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, but instead we got announcement of a new game coming to the Nintendo Switch in 2020, a first party game, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Are you excited for this game? Do you think it looks awesome like I think it looks? And will you be picking it up on November 20th? Because, I mean, I sure am. This is one of the biggest games of 2020 now, and it just came completely out of nowhere. And as always, folks, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Like I said, be sure to check out the Super Mario 3D All-Stars video from yesterday, talking about some of the feedback that Nintendo has been getting, some of the low points and some of the things that basically are surrounding this game, why some people are upset with it. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video, because I still got to talk about the Xbox Series S, because that was announced too. Things are just crazy here. September is popping off for video game news, and I love it. Later.